I'm your guy, Kenny B of E3, aka KNTX, professional investor, and the guide to helping you be the hero of your story. Here today, shirtless to provide some kind of credibility that I know what I'm talking about. Stay with us until the end of this video, and I'll give you some bonus tips not advertised in the title. As the first tip we'll beat you over the head with is better and or more sleep. I know I'm not the first person you've ever heard say this, and you may be sick of hearing it, but statistics show you are more than likely simply just not getting enough good rest. Poor sleep has been shown in multiple studies to increase the likelihood and the intensity of depression, anxiety, and suicide risk, as well as affecting the ability to learn, memorize, retain, recall, and use new knowledge to help solve problems creatively, not to mention reducing stress and improving your mood. The James Kirk Bernard Foundation posted an article written by Allison Brown called Sleep Matters, and the Perelman School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, in association with the Chronobiology and Sleep Institute, published a work of Kelly Capello called The Impact of Sleep on Learning and Memory, which appears to be heavily focused on the works of Matthew Walker, a professor at Berkeley University of California in the Neuroscience and Psychology Department. More can be found to support these claims if you're willing to put the time in and crawl down these dark rabbit holes. For those who are interested in the gains in the gym and being that alpha male when it comes to the physical mastery of your body, sleep is detrimental to the repairing and recovery of your training regimen. In numerous studies, there's been shown that more sleep has huge health benefits like getting sick less often, staying at a healthy weight, lowering your risk for serious health problems like diabetes and heart disease. And while the government doesn't seem to get much right in the way of dispersing empirical evidence, health.gov has a pretty good guide on sleep and backlinks to studies to support their claims. For those of you with kids out there are many profound studies pointing to just how detrimental sleep is to their development as well, and convincing data to suggest that a lack of quality sleep when young will stunt development of a young mind permanently. This subject could be discussed for many hours, but we just don't have the time to discuss everything today. Just know quality sleep is detrimental to your health. Number 2 on the list of this episode's tips is to move your body more and incorporate resistance training into that movement. Yeah, I get it. You're sick of hearing this one. If you are, do you know why? Because you feel guilty that you know this and you still aren't doing anything about it. Some of you are adamant about your training, and the hashtag winning is scrolling through your mind right now. The reason resistance training is so effective and important to not just weight loss, but overall health has a lot to do with activating your lymphatic system. Most long-term illnesses develop around inflammation, and since your lymphatic system doesn't have a heart to circulate the fluid, it relies upon muscle contraction. And through this muscle contraction, circulation can reduce swelling and discomfort. Why is cardio not enough? Asked the little old granny that walks around the park 2 hours a day and is still 30 pounds overweight. Well, think of your body as a furnace that consumes fuel to heat and operate. Well, the muscles are the part of your complex human system that needs the fuel to operate. So, if you want to be leaner and avoid all the morbidities that are developed in conjunction with excess fat stores, you need a bigger furnace to burn that stored fuel. In other words, you need more muscle mass. Many who start their training will find drastic results in a pretty short time period simply due to activating these processes in their body that they recently didn't have occurring. One thing to keep in mind, not everyone wants to look like a muscular sprinter or weightlifter. If you desire a lean, sleek figure, then prolonged cardio activities like cross-country running and cycling are the types of activities you'll want to focus on. I personally want a more muscular look, so I focus on primarily resistance training, aka weightlifting, and HIIT cardio, which stands for high intensity interval training, where I'm still able to affect my heart rate through short bursts of cardio work, followed by short intervals of active rest before going back into a high intensity burst of activity. Walking is also a great way to get cardio in, burn calories, and get a little bump in heart rate without affecting the metabolic processes that eliminate muscle. This is by no means an exhaustive list of hundreds of years of studies on the enhancement of peak human performance. Hoping to get into a lot more specific data and recommendations to help men out there with actionable steps to improving this aspect of their lives. I'm really going to lose a few of you out there when I tell you that you need to consume less calories and provide yourself with better quality fuel for your body. Tip 3, yes, eat less and eat fresh foods that haven't been processed. Much of this is common sense, or you have heard this enough that you believe there might be some credence in it. It is true. I've investigated so many diets, and there seems to be a lot of merit to most of them, but tendencies to be missing one or two crucial elements of what our bodies need seem to be present in almost all diet types. I personally am a fan of an omnivore diet that allows me to eat everything from nutrient-dense foods like red meat to clean proteins of poultry and mercury-free fish like salmon and halibut, all the way to leafy greens and vegetables that can be grown in the backyard and that are rich in fiber and antioxidants. Before the dietitian armchair quarterbacks come for me like I know they like to do when people talk about diets online, please know that I'm expressing what seems to have worked best for me, my body type, and my health goals. Everybody's body processes things differently, and what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. For example, I take a protein powder to make sure I am getting ample protein in my diet to maintain muscle composition. I use a plant based protein supplement since my body does not agree with milk and milk derivatives. So, being in tune with your body and adjusting along the way will serve you well. But I will say, no matter what, regardless of any argument made against it, reducing or eliminating processed sugars and foods, essentially anything that comes fizzy and flavored in a can or a bottle or cooked out of a box, will increase your long-term health outlook and make it a lot easier to regulate your health and your weight. As promised, some bonus tips. I learned this from the studies of Dr. Andrew Huberman, Associate Professor of Neurobiology, and by courtesy, Associate Professor of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Stanford. When you first wake up in the morning, get as direct a light as you can muster in your eyes until it makes you blink. Because of the tints and the blocking of certain wavelengths that glass and windows block out these days, this is most effective when done going outside. Dr. Huberman's study shows increases daytime alertness and focus, better sleep, and immune function. Sunlight on your skin mid to late day increases testosterone and estrogen, as well as positive effects on your mood. Viewing any bright light of all colors from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. is bad for sleep and dopamine. This may or not be controversial to some, so I'm excited to see both the dumbest and the smartest comments on this video, but I do not take synthetic performance enhancement drugs, but rather natural supplements that boost natural production of testosterone. It makes muscle development easier and skyrockets my metabolism without chemically castrating over time, depending on taking PEDs, performance enhancement drugs like anabolic steroids, or even testosterone replacement therapy causes the testes to quit producing testosterone naturally. There are situations where this may be necessary, and I'm not for or against these treatments for you. That is between you and your doctor. But I am deathly afraid of getting this precise science wrong and having drastic negative effects for my health. Ramping your testes up to be able to produce T on their own after prolonged use of PEDs is very difficult and can take a very long time based on many variables. I use Tongkat Ali, Tribulus, and boron citrate, supplements to naturally stimulate my body to produce testosterone on its own. On my most recent blood test, I tested just under 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, and most professional bodybuilders baseline at about 1,200. So not too bad for a 40-year-old guy, if I do say so myself. I do credit a lot of that to a healthier than average diet too, since that does have a role in T production. Disclaimer, I am on levothyroxine due to my hypothyroidism. My longevity doc, Dr. Nicole Shrednecki down in Scottsdale, Arizona, is the one that pinpointed my need for a prescription to remedy that issue. Thyroxine is known to boost T levels and metabolism. So final bonus tip, very much tied to my last point as far as my personal situation was concerned. Get your blood tested in regular intervals by a doctor that understands how to read and report and makes healthy suggestions based upon that report. This should be a plan of monitoring and adjusting your lifestyle based upon you and your doctor's plan you devise together. So go get your blood tested on a regular basis. Thanks for joining me. See you gents Monday.